Hello, and welcome to My Singing Monsters. This game, coming out in 2012, has received critical acclaim in the mobile market, and finding its Steam release on PC in early 2021, it's done pretty well. So I'm going to take you through on a little tour of the monster world. So we start by hitting play, and it has to load in, connect to the servers, make sure we're on the right version. So we'll let it do so. Download some game data. Right now, it is the Halloween event, as it is October, the month in which Halloween takes place. Or rare gnarls on Bone and Amber Island. That's one of the many fantastical creatures of this world. And so you'll see, if I go ahead and hit this button here to hide all UI elements, we can just take a look at our monsters here. Our delightful cast of characters, all playing wonderful tunes. Right here is the Halloween monster. The Halloween monster. Punkleton is the name. Rather frightening. And you see everyone has a contribution to make to the song. So this is Plant Island. Plant Island. This is the first island you unlock in the game. This is the starter island. So let's quickly go ahead and collect these coins. It's a simple process. You just click the little icons, and they're automatically added to your bank. You can use them to buy certain monsters, island decorations. You can use them to bake treats to level your monsters up. Talk about that later. And a few other things which are less important. Things like costumes and that kind of stuff. So we won't be collecting coins again from here on out. I'm just going to give you a tour of the islands. So next is Cold Island. This is the second island you unlock. We will be going mostly in order, at least for these first 5 natural islands, as they're called, which are the elements plant, cold, air, water, and earth in order. So this is Cold Island, as you can see. Just some cool stuff going on here. This is not my favorite, but it's okay. It's an okay island. So we'll go ahead and we'll do one of the main mechanics of this game here, breeding. It's how you get new monsters. Let's actually change that up. You can retry your last breeding attempt if it failed, but that monster is no longer available, so we'll continue to our standard breeding combination. I won't give away the secrets here. So let's go to our next island here. This is Air Island. You're going to tell as soon as it loads up. I like this one. I do like this one. So this is my Air Island. As you can see, I'm a fan of this one. I am. So it's just a good time. This is Schmoochel, the Valentine's Day monster, the Season of Love monster, as it's called in the game here. They have different names for all the holidays. You know, instead of Halloween, it's Spooktical. Valentine's Day is the aforementioned Season of Love. You have, there's quite a few. They're Easter counterpart is I don't remember. I don't know. It's something. It's something. It's not Easter. It's not called Easter. No. This is a pretty big part of the game, the Colossal Conundrums, which you can use for a secret purpose I will not disclose here. But you just log in every day for a month. They're nothing too crazy. That's the basics of the game, though. There's not much more to it than that. There's one more thing, which here, let me do this really quick. I should be collecting these coins. There's no reason not to. When the icon appears above their head, it means that they are carrying the maximum number of coins they can carry at a time. So it's in your best interest to collect them when you see that. I'm not for the sake of the video, to keep things short and concise. As you can see, it's a pretty useful little tool here. It does tell you what islands you need to collect from, and there's also the world map here, which has its own unique theme song and some little lore tidbits, so you can learn kind of more about this world. So we'll continue to Sugarbush Island, and this is the island I'll use to demonstrate a feature, is that some monsters in this game, they need to be a certain level, and then they can be teleported to this island. So if we go to the market here, you'll see there's no way to get these single element monsters usually purchasable with coins. On this island, they're not. They are 250 diamonds, and the reason for that, diamonds are this game's premium currency, although they can be earned free, but the reason for that is because you have to teleport these monsters. You feed them up using treats to level 15, and they can be teleported to one of these outer islands, and you can just unlock new songs. So this is the Sugarbush Island, starring the Sugar Fam, and right there we have Sugar Base, and the rest of them. And it's one of my favorites, especially among the outer islands. I'm a very big fan of this island in particular. But so yeah, that's really it. That's all there is to this game. You level monsters up, you breed new ones, you buy new islands. That's about it. Ethereal Island is similar to Sugarbush Island. You have to get monsters to level 15, and then they can be teleported. So as you can see, I only have one very lonely Ghast here, but there are many others. There's a litany of monsters on these islands, and one of the big things is when you get them to an outer island, that enables you to breed them with monsters they normally couldn't, and so you can get all kinds of strange things. This is Ethereal Workshop. This island works a little differently. Instead of breeding, you synthesize them using the synthesizer, and you combine these little single element pieces to create the monsters. And these monsters are unstable. You know, they're not quite meant to exist, so that's why you have to do that. And Ethereal Workshop itself is it's a workshop of sorts. It's a laboratory. This is Fire Haven, which introduced fire monsters back into the monster world after a remarkably long time. This was a pretty big pivotal moment in the MSM lore. MSM being short for My Singing Monsters. So there's a second Fire Island, which set up kind of this idea that there'd be a pattern where there would be an island released with, you know, the fire element, and then a selection of 3 of the natural elements. So this island has water, snow, air, and fire. And Fire Haven, I have no idea. I don't remember. But it's missing one of those 3 natural elements, and it's a different natural element. And Psychic Island was originally released as Fire Frontier, and they did a faux vote, letting people decide what the final natural element would be, and they did a surprise release and started the Magicals. So, if it'll load, we then had this guy, Theramine and the Psychic Monsters, the first discovered of the magical elements. And that was a pretty big curveball at the time. People were not expecting that. So there's Light Island as well, which is another very cool island. Very cool island. I really like this one. This one's not super popular. People don't like this one as much, but I'm a fan, especially after one of the more recent updates. People are coming around on it for sure. There's also Fairy Island, another magical island. The fairy element. Fun fact, this guy was an unreleased monster. He was scrapped, and they brought him back for Fairy Island. Originally, instead of Tweedle, we were going to have Flute Fly, but they said no, we'll use Tweedle, and then many years later, Fairy Island was released with Flute Fly being the single element fairy. And finally, wrapping up the magical islands, the standard magical islands is Bone Sanctum. No, Bone Island. Sorry. Got a little ahead of myself there. This one, if you can't tell, it's another one of my favorites. I mean, I like all the islands. I could do a tier list. But it'd be hard not to put everything in SRA. But this one is a very cool island. And here we have rare Gnarls, as we saw at the very beginning. This is a quint element. They have 5 elements, which means that they are not obtainable through standard means. As you can see, 5 elements. So, especially on an island like this, he doesn't have the bone element. So how did we get him here? Well, this is part of the fire expansion where certain fire monsters were able to be brought to these magical islands using by buying them. You buy them. That's the only way to do it. You buy them. There's no other way. So, as you can see, these two are pretty expensive. And you can also buy the common version. Those are the rare versions. This game also has a rarity system. There's commons, rares, and epics. Rares are obtained the same way as commons. They're just rarer and are only available during certain times. And epics are also only available during certain times, but they also have unique breeding combinations. But yeah, so as you can see, this is relics, another currency that is not easy to obtain. There is one island in the game where the monsters produce relics, and it is probably one of, if not the hardest of all the islands to actually fill out. And so finally, our final, still not really our final, but whatever, Magical Sanctum. So this is another magical island, but you have to teleport the single element magicals here by the way we discussed earlier, leveling them up to 15, and they can be teleported. And so Magical Sanctum gives you the ability to breed all kinds of magical hybrids. So it's very cool, very cool. And I do have on Bone Island Clackula, who is the Bone Island single element, ready to be teleported. I just haven't done it yet. We have Mythical Island, which is a teleport island for the Mythicals, who are another class of monster that can be found on all of the natural islands, as well as Fire Haven and Fire Oasis. As you can see, I quite like this one. Bazinga, right here, probably my favorite of them. And Sporo, right here, is pretty much quintessential to the song. You can't really have this without Sporo. But yeah, so that's Mythical Island. We'll let it go for a moment. we'll just let it go. And this is not the full song, by the way. I am missing certain monsters. I'm missing, and Cherubble, and their respective Dream Mythicals, which are unique to this island. The Dream Mythicals, by the way. I'm a big fan of strings. That is a good island. There's Seasonal Shanty, which is the teleport island for all the seasonal monsters. We can go poke our heads in. I only have one monster, and they are muted right now, so... this is just a rare hula. Just chilling out, all alone. I'll get more. Don't worry. I intend on it. There's Wublin Island, which introduced the Wake Up mechanic, where you can take eggs from a breeding structure and zap them, in this case, to Wublin Island to wake up the Wublins. Of course, I don't have the monster that says that, but if I did, you would be hearing that over and over again. This island is especially good early on for treats, because they give you a lot of them. So if you have a bunch, and those specific ones, Zinths, are pretty easy to get, you can seriously make some profits there. This is the Colosseum, which is... it's a feature. Most people don't really care for it. I mean, I have monsters on it. I level them up, but that's just cause, you know, I essentially the goal is to have a large collection of very high level monsters, and then it's a battler. You battle. So I just want to be able to plow through all of them. This is Gold Islands. This is one of the unique. This island is unique in the way it functions. Basically, when you get a monster to level 15, if you don't teleport them, you can place them on Gold Island, and it doesn't teleport them. They stay on both islands. And they don't produce anything here. This is just sort of a second place you can put them. You don't even have to teleport them. So it has no downsides. And it just gives you an extra song. It can have every monster in the game, excluding magicals and fires, I believe. I think every other monster is there. Not ethereals. Ethereals aren't, or mythicals. So everything else is. There's Magical Nexus, which when you get a magical monster to level 18, you can transpose them to Magical Nexus, where I'm not exactly sure how it works. It has very interesting mechanics. It's all ties into this thing, which gives you better rewards if you have like all of a certain kind of the magical monsters. So if you have all the single elements, or all the doubles, triples, quads, you get better rewards, and it does one for commons, rares, and epics eventually when they come. And it's every magical monster, so except for those on Sanctum. It's the Sanctum ones aren't included in that. There's Amber Island, where you can buy fire monsters. This island has every fire monster on it. So the implication there being eventually there'll be one possibly for the natural monsters. Who knows? But where you can buy monsters in these little jars, and when you have to wake them up, and some of them are really hard. But once you have woken them up, you will get they will produce a very small amount of relics. We're talking per month. It's like 20 per month or something. It's pretty not worth it, but it's a cool island. And there's Celestial Island, which is pretty much just a worse Wublin Island. Monsters here cost gems. They do go on discount during their respective months. Each one has an association with a month. But the monsters here cost diamonds, gems, and you have to wake them up still. So it's a pretty tough island to get done. It's pretty late game stuff. And then finally, our last two are Tribal Island. This is a sort of community feature of the game. Think clans, if you've ever played Clash of Clans. But you essentially get to join a tribe. And when you're in a tribe, you can partake in leveling the tribe up. And as you level it, you get a certain amount of gems per week. You have a whole week to do it. A whole week to level you up. And you get a certain amount of gems. And you also get a certain amount of star power based on your contributions. And so the max reward being when the tribe is at level 1500, you get 5 gems. 5 gems. I believe it's 25 a week. I'm not going to do the math right now, but I do think it goes to 20 or 25. It is the max per week you can get from this, which is pretty good. And yeah, as you can see, it's early in the week, so level 500, 489 this early is pretty good still. But yeah. And finally, there's Composer Island, where you can compose your own songs. I don't have anything on there, so we won't go. But yeah, you can compose your own songs using the monsters in the game. But yeah, so that is my singing monsters. I think this is a fitting island to end on. Here's my friend code if you want to add me. There you go. That'll be in the description too. And yeah, thank you for joining me in this little tour of the monster world. And yeah, I hope to see all of you watching again. Have a good day and a good night.